Aloha, beautiful beings, and welcome to another episode of the Yoni Havana Podcast, where we explore consciousness, looking into how things work in the universe so we can enjoy life more and become more whole. This show is my first community Q&A, which was a collection of questions submitted via my Telegram and Instagram channels by listeners. I recruited my former co-host of previous shows, Matt Caresco, to help me with this episode. And it was fun, and there will be more to come. Please note, for an unknown reason, my internet was laggy, which means there is no video podcast for a good portion of the show, and there are some parts where the audio is a bit off. So excuse me for this technical issue. In this episode, I cover my most profound spiritual experiences in the past year, my first Kambo experience, my current eating and hydration habits, my ideal daily routine, and how I choose guests for the show. As always, if you find value in this conversation, please share it with someone you love. So enjoy this very first community Q&A by yours truly, Aho. We're live, baby. First Q&A session. Mateo, thank you for joining and co-hosting once again, this time on my solo show. I will give this in the intro for sure, but to anyone who doesn't know you yet, you and I co-hosted two shows. The Modern Caveman started in 2019 or 2018. I think 2019. We did 24 episodes in person, and then we had our own show, just chit-chatting about all kinds of stuff called Seeking Optimization. So welcome back.
Thanks, Doc. Good to be here. I'm excited. I love your show. It's my favorite of all three. Okay, so let's just dive in. Question number one. What is the most profound thing you've learned on your spiritual journey this past year, 12 months, and what did you learn from it?
Most profound spiritual thing. I've seen that one. I didn't have that much time to give it thought. And, the first thing that comes to mind is the immediate feedback that I get now. I feel like from spiritual beings or from the divine, however we want to call it, is that when I'm doing what feels right in terms of my soul's mission, my path, whatever I want, I receive. And, not necessarily immediately. And, that can be with abundance, it can be with work, it can be with health, it can be with a lot of things. It's going to take time usually, but I receive it. And when I act out of alignment and I kind of catch myself and have the awareness, whether I, raise my voice with my daughter, or I don't know, choose to do something that is not in alignment with my path and is not in the greatest good, I get reprimanded immediately kind of by the divine. And usually like I'll walk into a door, I'll bite my lip. Like I think I may have broke a toe on the retreat that you were in. Like I forget what I was doing. And it's kind of like I catch myself saying something that sometimes like I'm joking, but it's like telling me like this is not the right place and time or not the right audience. And yeah, this is the most profound is that like it's like I don't even have to wait anymore. My actions are getting immediate feedback. See if I'm on the right path. I get an immediate feedback from that. So that has been the most profound. And another thing that I'll mention in the same breath is that I do less formal time of meditation, seated, laying down meditation. I feel like my day is much more meditative as it is. And I think with also with my attunement to those little nudges from the universe. But the two practices that I enjoyed most and that I've been called to do by my teacher, I mentioned often on the podcast, who's in her mid 80s, is one of them is watching and being in presence with what's Tiglis. Tiglis is, for people that have seen him, usually when you look and it's sunny out towards the sky, and you may be able to see that, it's just like those little like sparkly things that keep moving. It's as if like this part of the matrix, like what is that matrix that is moving around, and open awareness in that way. And when I pay attention to it and kind of like have my open, I don't know, vision, but like I'm focusing and I'm open peripherally and whatnot, it's rewarding and it feels good and it's very meditative. And then the second one, very subtle, moving along my body, like tuning on, is that when I pay attention, there's like subtle energy running in my body. And I pay attention to that energy. It's like I'm not really doing something, I'm calm, but there's like rushing fast energy like into that like subtle energy moving around my body. It feels like a high vibration, and that's when I'm tuning into it and when I'm in that high vibration. But it takes paying attention, and it takes being still to that extent. So those are the two practices, and the most profound has been the immediate feedback I get now from the divine.
Listening to the whispers.
Yeah, I think that was like the second episode, third episode that we released in the Marno Caveman with Tuan Lim.
Yep. Can you give an example maybe of something that you've, I don't know if manifested was the word you used, but you've kind of called in?
So a very simple example is, as I shifted my work into 100% doing the Yoni Havana guidance and men of integrity retreats and whatnot, it came with a financial hit because I was doing a good amount of tech work. And very simply, I manifested abundance in a way. It's not that I manifested a huge amount, but what I did is that I had a mantra that I also put into my Lila Quantum device. So an infinity block, I talk about Lila Quantum tech quite often. There's an episode with the founder and CEO on the show. I think it's episode 8 with Philip. An amazing episode. He crushed it. And so I put my intention like on a piece of paper in there, and also I kept saying my intention and feeling the feeling. And it was not exactly these words, but it was something to the extent of that I feel grateful that I have high quality clients who want to do the work and can pay with ease. And there was a couple days or 3 days or so that I said that and felt it more often during the day, like let's say, I don't know, like 10 times. And I had a conversation with someone who I just saw last week in Florida, who came to my last Men of Integrity retreat in April. And long story short, I talked to him like a couple weeks before. He got some information on the retreat. He's like, oh, he's interested and whatnot, but he didn't get back to me. And as I did that morning, like a few times, all of a sudden he gave me a call. He said he's in, and he paid immediately. And now we have a sliding scale of price, and he paid a good amount, which is more unusual these days for somebody to pay that price. So I felt like, oh, it's working. Like I'm asking for it, and I also asked for, let's say with the abundance one and manifesting this stuff with the intention that I have and going to deliver value for someone, and it's going to be an exchange that supports my family and supports my work to bring it to more people. So that's what happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, I love that. You're always so good about the language you use when talking about these things. And also, you have your more formal kind of Joe Dispenza based practice as well. So you have this really great balance. I feel like, that's probably a third added layer that's helped you to call in these things.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the next question. You mentioned briefly that you were down in Florida. So maybe you can share your Kambo experience, what happened and what did you learn from this experience? And then maybe share a little bit about the practitioner.
Okay, cool. So I learned about Kambo start about 6 years ago, so in 2017. And this was when I was working for Mike Bledsoe, who was also on the show, episode 3, if I'm not mistaken. And Mike was doing a good amount of Kambo for like a few months, a couple of years to do some cleansing. And he reported great results. At the time, there were way less practitioners available. So if I'm not mistaken, I was talking to you and my partner now in Men of Integrity Retreats, Michael Tierno, and we said, let's go perhaps to Arizona, where it was like one practitioner at the time that Mike was working with. But anyways, I'm digressing into how I heard about it. And I heard it's a great physical cleanse, especially from the practitioner I worked with, Matt Kaufman, who was on the show, I think episode 5, 6. And so, anyways, I went down to Tampa, and I had plans to work with Matt for a long time. Figured I'll try it myself because I was going through an assignment out of nowhere. I don't know if it was an accumulation of the pollen that is here in Georgia, where I've been living for a few years, and me, I was taking a bunch of homeopathics, and I also took a nasal spray of some biohacking medicine that I've never taken before, and I felt like it went into the wrong tube, aka I got into my, I don't know, my stomach in a way, and I felt pretty bad afterwards. This was in Florida actually in February, and shortly after I started feeling bad. And I wasn't able to sleep on my back, meaning the way I was sleeping was like with a tiny pillow or no pillow at all for like 4 months. I was sleeping with 2 pillows. I could barely breathe out of my nose. I was very nasally. I mean, I'm still am somewhat nasally, but I was extremely nasally throughout the beginning of the show, recording episodes. I was mouth breathing at night for months, for pretty much 4 months. And it kind of went away before I went to Florida, and then it came back. And anyways, it came back. I go to Florida. I do the ceremony with Matt, which was great because I know him, one, and I trusted him. And I came with a good amount of research that I've done before. So I've heard of Kambo. I knew what I'm getting into, and it did meet the expectations. So let me tell you about the experience. Is that I came in, Matt has already set it up, which was cool because he's into biohacking. He had some biohacking devices, meaning a PMF mat, some red light therapy, kind of what I was laying on and recovering with, and a place with a bucket. So the combo, some people call it frog poison, but it's not poison. It's a secretion from a frog. I forget which one, kind of South American frog that they sing to or something. They scrape it off, I think their backs or whatnot. I might be butchering that. And what they do is they burn holes in the body to give this medicine. This medicine has a lot of peptides. So peptides, if I'm not mistaken, are pretty much amino acids that are very healthy for the body for all kinds of health reasons. And also with this medicine, it induces purging. So in my case, a good amount of TMI, puking. Okay. Some people also go for pretty gnarly number twos. That was not the case. Actually, I will touch on that towards the end. But anyway, so I come in and it was in Matt's place and he saged me. So he kind of cleansed my energy, got the music going. And usually he does rapé, which is shamanic tobacco that we do also the Men of Integrity retreats that is administered to both nostrils. But since I had the sinus infection, I didn't want to have that. So he does that and sanaga. Those are Amazonian eye drops that burn like hot peppers, and they have an experience. It's also a great cleanse for the eyes and for just the third eye and whatnot. So I got the Sanaga eye drops. I was kind of with that for, I don't know, like a few minutes, 10 minutes or whatnot. I was kind of meditative, getting into the space, getting present with the music, with the Sanaga. Shortly after, he he takes, I don't know, this little stick that is rounded the edge, and he burned one whole kind of one spot on my shoulder. And he did he burned actually five, but then he put the medicine on one of the spots to do a test spot. And he saw my reaction. And if people get like hot flashes or they look yellow or whatnot, you may give them like a half a dose in each spot, like a smaller dose. I've been keeping pretty clean for a long time, as you know, in terms of my diet, in terms of a lot of practices. And anyways, he put the test spot, and you can see immediately, like it's pretty much like a minute, and it was doing well. So I had five spots, five gates they call, like a gate into for the medicine to come in straight into the bloodstream. And within a couple minutes of him putting the medicine in me, I was just kind of sitting down on a cushion in legged, however that is pronounced, and the medicine kicks in within 2 minutes. I feel pretty nauseous, like damn nauseous. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Before he gives me the medicine, and I came fasted, completely fasted, no fluids, no nothing. He tells me to chug half a gallon of water pretty quickly. And I drink very slow, and I don't even drink that much during the day. So I feel like all those fluids in my stomach, and I drink them within like 3 minutes, like just like half a gallon. It all sits in me. But that helps with purging because it's already there, and rather than dry heaving, he was saying, it would just kind of like bring it up. So puts the medicine within 2 minutes. I feel pretty nauseous, feel pretty like my head is hot, as you told me. My heart is racing, and I feel damn nauseous. And I had the bucket in front of me. The music is going. He's kind of walking around, and as I started purging it, like his kind of music, like instrument going on to help me go through it with some of the. It's a shamanic kind of, what do you call it? Rattle and shamanic music. Actually, some songs from the Men of Integrity retreats, which are touch my heart. And yeah, so for 15 minutes straight, I'm purging. I'm just like into the bucket. And he gave me a technique to do. And he said, when you kind of like you're in pausing, like if you're going to like a fetal position, especially if you're nauseous even after drinking, right? You can kind of keep it in. It's like when people resist the purge, but when they open up their body, it comes out much more easily. So he told me, like, if you feel like you want to like get it out more, and it's like, like I'm purging for a while, and then it kind of stops, and I'm kind of leaning. I'm kind of beat, from purging. And then I kind of like slowly straighten myself up and I kind of feel it and move my body a little bit, my spine and my neck, and boom. And for 15 minutes straight, I'm purging and a lot of liquid, of course, and some bile. It may sound pretty gross, but it felt very good to get rid of it. And yeah, I mean that's 15 minutes. I didn't really know what comes after. I didn't know how long it's gonna take. People say about 20 minutes is the peak, and it's like an hour long ceremony that includes everything. 15 minutes, I'm done. I'm like, can I lie down? He's like, yeah, you can lie down because I was done purging. I lie down on the mat, just kind of. I'm pretty I'm pretty tired from purging and from taking this medicine, but within like every 5 minutes, I'm getting better and better. Like 15 minutes later, I'm feeling damn good. I'm on my feet. I'm like feeling pretty new. Not that much different than when I came in. And he said, like, take the day, don't schedule anything to integrate the experience. It's more than a physical purge. It's an emotional, spiritual. There's an experience. The body keeps score. I think is the book that people talk about how the body keeps trauma and holds on to things. So it definitely was great in that sense. And yeah, I talked. Actually, his wife just got home at that time, and I talked to them for a little bit. And I went home and home, meaning to where I was staying there, which was about 20 minutes north. And as I 10 minutes to the car ride, I start feeling like I have a number two that is pretty urgent. Meaning I realized like I had no, actually I started feeling my stomach. My stomach started like throbbing a little bit. I was just like feeling into the sensation. It just like kind of was telling me something or something was going, which reminded me of the ayahuasca retreat in Peru. And within a few minutes, I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like one of those like if I go right now, like it is what it is. I'll clean it up later. Like I have to go. And yeah, you can unmute yourself for people to hear you laughing. But so yeah, so I'm feeling it and I'm getting there. I'm like there are lights and whatnot. I'm getting hot and like I gotta go. So, anyways, I make it to the driveway and I kind of rushed to the bathroom and I had a good number two, but that was it. And I was kind of integrating the experience, just being with myself, just chilling, journaling just a little bit. And a few hours later, I had a meeting with somebody that I planned on meeting, which was like 5, 6 hours later. So I was feeling pretty good, but a little bit tired from the day. And I slept really good that night. I slept like, I don't know, something like 9, 10 hours. And my throat was hurting the day, like the day
So
of and the day before. And I was feeling a bit stuffed. I woke up and I felt like fresh. I feel like I'm done. Like my voice is back. I'm totally clear. I can breathe out of both nostrils very well. And which is also one of the mantras that I had when I was going to sleep during the infection is like asking the divine to help me breathe smoothly out of both nostrils. I was doing a good amount of breath work in my life in the past few years, and I enjoy it. And breathing, which I come to take for granted out of both nostrils, was not an option. So that was the experience. And Matt Kaufman was an amazing practitioner. Highly recommend him, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with him on retreats.
awesome, dude. That story. I love hearing the end of that story. Do you see this as something? I know you're a pretty clean guy, and maybe if someone has a lot of toxicity or doesn't quite live the Yoni Havana lifestyle, it might be a little more challenging. They might need to do this more regularly. What do you see yourself in terms of cadence? Maybe just like a once a year thing for you, or
If I think I would do it once a year. The only caveat there is that those dots are gonna leave scars on my body, and I don't want to be a walking billboard of like, hey, I've done like that many sessions, and I don't know if I would go in the same spot because I don't know how long it's gonna take for the scars to heal and what's gonna be the how it's gonna look. And it's definitely a conversation starter, with my daughter, with other people. So I don't know. Perhaps I'll figure out a more discreet place, like, and I don't know if it's possible, but like in an upper thigh or something where the shorts can cover it and such. I'm mostly wearing shorts or a bathing suit. Let's say, like when I'm exposing the rest of my body, I would definitely do it about once a year. If I felt like I had more, like let's say parasites or candida or some other toxicity, I would go ahead and do it like once a month for pretty much, I don't know, at least 6 months. That thing was quick to work and it was deep and it has all the peptides. And I don't remember all the science behind it, but I felt damn good. Like it was definitely worth it. And it's so quick. I love the quickness of it.
Yeah, seems easy enough compared to a lot of other medicines in that kind of arena. Well, good, man. I'm happy for you. Sounds like it was overall a positive experience. That's great. Also, you should shine the red light at those scars. I think that's supposed to really help with scar
Yeah,
healing.
I
But
am.
that's
I'm shining the red
another
light
note.
like every day for at least 10 minutes on that spot specifically. I'm getting a good amount of red light because I got a lot of sun recently. So yeah,
Okay. Point number two.
yeah. Point number two.
Who gives a shit about the scars?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't give much of a shit. I give a little
Yeah.
bit of shit. I have to be honest.
Okay. It's fair. Real quick, let's chat about what you're eating right now. I mean, I know what you're eating because I'll be on the phone with you when you're prepping dinner,
Yeah.
or one of the many meals that you're prepping throughout the day. But what does your diet look like?
Yeah, I think this question came because my one of my latest podcasts is with somebody who eats mainly fruit, and the name of the podcast is "You Are Built to Eat Fruit" with Seth Balin. And I do eat a lot of fruits. I eat a lot of fruit. I drink a lot of juices, especially in the summer. It is July 2023 in Georgia when we're recording this, and I was just in Florida too. So very hot places, and hydration in form of fruit and the vibration and the electric charge that comes with that, the electricity and electromagnetic beings is like I consume a good amount of fruit and fruit juices, and of course water. I'm gonna call this also in like what do I eat, like, so yeah, let's say I start my day with I make like a modified water concoction, and I say modified. I used to do it with lemon, now I do it with orange juice. So I fresh squeeze, not actually squeeze. I juice with the juicer oranges in the morning or the night before.
Is this taste based, or any other reason for switching from lemons to oranges?
Fun, pretty much. My daughter got into orange juice, especially when we visited Israel, and she had so much fun drinking these juices. And a lot of them are actually orange juice with carrot juice combined. So yeah. Anyways, I got into juices. I drink a good amount of juices. I eat a good amount of fruit during the day. I break my fast every day around, I would say it depends. Sometimes it's early, it's 10:30, sometimes it's noon, but around that time, 10:30 to noon, I break my fast with a bowl of yogurt. It is not raw yogurt. It is pasteurized, but it's the A2 milk of sheep, and I think that digests, and I know with myself, really, really well, and has a higher quality ingredients in there. So make a yogurt bowl with some granola, honey, pollen, local honey, local pollen, a good amount of berries. So let's say raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, and a little bit of banana. And that's how I break my fast. That's usually my brunch. Sometimes I will have a lunch. Nowadays, I don't have much of a lunch because that's a big meal for me. I may have a little snack later on, which would be usually raw carrots. I make a raw carrot salad with olive oil, coconut oil, white vinegar, honey, and salt. I love that. I learned it from our mutual friend David Green. I mentioned him in the podcast quite a bit. And then for dinner, I usually have, let's say I will hydrate, maybe have some organ meat capsules, which come from ancestral supplements. So I may have some thymus, kidneys, spleen is usually what I've had recently because that helps with allergies and histamine response. Otherwise, I may have the male formula. It has prostate and testicles and bone marrow and liver and all kinds of superfoods that come from organ meat. And I will have a little bit of vegetables. So let's say maybe some raw vegetables to start, maybe some cucumbers dipped in tahini or hummus. I'm Mediterranean. I enjoy these foods. They fill my soul with love and nourishment. And then maybe I'll have a couple pieces of roasted veggies. Maybe it'll be broccoli or asparagus or whatever, carrots or whatnot. Once again, carrots. Think about what I've been eating lately. Sometimes even I'll have some rice and sweet potatoes. I have a good amount of Japanese sweet potatoes that I may make some honey butter. So honey and butter mixed together, delicious. And then I'll eat. So I eat sequentially. So I eat from the raw, juiciest food. I drink before my meals, and then I finish with meat. Usually it will be beef. I got half a cow recently delivered straight from the farmer into my house. I keep it in my freezer. And I made burgers the other night. I ate steaks, roasts, and I ate some chicken. And I've given up pork, as you know, a few months ago, and I've also had some pork leftovers in here. It's not that there's something wrong with pork, but I have gotten the message that spiritually it is not in my best interest for my spiritual path, and I'm on the path to enlightenment. I did mention this on the podcast. It's a long road. This is one of the things that I gave up. So I gave up pork. I don't eat it. Maybe once in a while, whatever the occasion will be, I'll eat some baby back ribs and some bacon, but I don't buy it. I don't really eat it. And I'll eat some fish sometimes, but mostly I eat beef is the number one based on the nutrient density. I love chicken. My family loves chicken. I make these amazingly tasting, salty chicken that I brine in advance or marinate with barbecue sauce or whatnot. I'll eat some fish, and I do eat. I will say I eat probably salmon or smoked salmon about twice a week. Yeah, and so those things change, but that's pretty much what I eat. So mostly fruit, a little bit of vegetables, and some protein, mostly in the form of grass-fed, pasture-raised beef.
So you're only eating really 2
I
meals
eat
per
two
day.
meals per day. Yes.
And the only dairy you're having is yogurt.
The only dairy I have is yogurt. Sometimes I'll have some cottage cheese, especially, if things might switch up. I have some cottage cheese in here. I have some raw cheddar cheese. Like, I might have a snack here and there, but main part I eat yogurt. That's like the 80%. I like cottage cheese. I forget the brand. You might remember, but it's like
Good
which one
culture.
is Good Culture? Good
Yeah,
Culture, is that
yeah.
a name? It's at Whole Foods. It's like a
It's
yeah.
like the blue and
Yeah, I
white
think that
tub,
one
right?
is green. That's like the double cream,
Yeah.
14 grams of protein. Add some honey to that, some salt, and sometimes some watermelon. It's really good together. So yeah,
Another David Green recipe.
another David Green recipe. Yeah, he's an amazing cook, chef, and person. Not in that order.
So if we were to build like the Yoni Havana food pyramid, it looks like the base would be probably like fruits and veggies, then maybe meat, then dairy, and then maybe honey at the
Yeah,
top. Is that would
I
that
would say
sound accurate to you?
fruit is definitely the base. Like I get most of my nourishment and my hydration. I'm mostly about hydration now, and I think I get a lot of nutrients from fruit. So I just eat a ton of fruits. Yeah, veggies come after. I would say yeah, some meat and well, let's say nose to tail, because I do take a good amount of organ meat, and yeah, some dairy and honey. That's it. Simple.
Yeah, that's great. I think you're onto something. The pork one is hard for me. I do love pork, especially the farm and the pork that I get is just so
It's
fantastic.
tasty.
But we're still maybe once a week at the most. We're primarily beef as well, but
Nice.
okay. Can you? I know your daily routine can change a little bit based on little ones and nannies and all these different moving parts. But what is an ideal daily routine if there is no chaos and everything works out perfectly? What does your day look like, top to bottom?
All right, top to bottom means we start in the morning. All
Starting
right,
in the morning, you
cool.
wake up, loud alarm
Cool. So
clock.
thank you for asking about the ideal because I have not been doing the ideal, especially in the past year as our boys have been inching towards their first birthday. So definitely that has changed quite a bit since my second child was born. But yeah, the ideal routine is that I wake up at 5. I do about a 60 to 75-minute Joe Dispenza meditation immediately. So no phones, just go, you know, number one in the bathroom, maybe brush my teeth. It's a maybe. I'll definitely rinse my mouth, but maybe brush my teeth and go straight into that meditation. Actually, here in the studio where I'm at right now, which is where I'm recording from, and have do some other things in here. So usually that will be my morning routine in here. So I start getting to the 60 to 75-minute Joe Dispenza meditation. Immediately after, I will do some breath work, and that could be like, okay, so we'll go with the ideal. That will be a 30-minute breath work from Washela Sananda, who's also been on the podcast, I think, episode 2. She's a spiritual teacher. She has a lot to teach, and her breath work is super deep. If not, I'm going to say still an ideal day, I will do Wim Hof breath work. So let's say 20 to 30 minutes of breath work, and then I'll do movement for about 20 to 30 minutes. My morning movement routine, it includes some shaking, joint mobilization, some tapping, some qigong is going on in there, maybe a little bit of stretching. And then to put the cherry on top, I'll hop into the cold plunge for about 5 minutes and cool myself off, get all the norepinephrine, dopamine, etc., get all the body awakened and activate my vagus nerve. And then go off, go to the house. My daughter will be waking up around daytime. My son will be waking up. Say good morning to them. Start the day. Make some morning concoctions for everybody. Make breakfasts for everybody except for myself. Hang out with them. Make whatever snacks for lunch for school and whatnot. And get my daughter out the door. Either my wife or I will take her to school, and the other one will stay with our son at home. Let's say I'm kind of jumping around now to about 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is around when he would take his first nap. And that's when I'll start my training session for the day. Usually I'll go for about a 10 to 15-minute backward walk. This is from knees over toes guy. So I'll walk backwards. Maybe I'll do some side like hops and stepping and a little bit of running and some other a little bit of movement. And I mean, I forgot to mention, I will go out and get a little bit of light as I go into the house. I make sure I get some light to set my circadian rhythm. At that time at 9 a.m., I get as much sun as I can. So usually I'll be wearing shorts only to get as much sunlight as I can and connect with the sun in that way. There's a special connection happening beyond the vitamin D. So come back, do my training session. It usually will be a knees over toes training session to strengthen my knees. I'm going through a 3.5 year at this point, summer of 2023, rib injury. So there's not that much that I want to do in terms of building muscle. I do a lot of things to relax the body and keep some integrity. That will training session will take about another 45 to 55 minutes. So the whole training session is about, say, an hour and 20, and they'll take me to around 10:30. I forgot to mention during that time, actually, I will drink and I will make, while I'm doing these reps, I'll make a little morning drink. So drink a morning concoction in the morning, and I'll make a morning drink, which usually will be so two options: wild cacao with some supplements, shilajit, spirulina, and some healing mushrooms. We're gonna call them medicinal mushrooms, such as reishi. I mean, not reishi actually in the morning. Cordyceps, lion's mane, chaga, and turkey tail. And the same, I would do a similar thing with matcha. So you got me into matcha tea, and I got some great matcha tea from Sam of RT, very fresh and legit and tasty. So I'll get a little bit of an energetical boost from those during my training session. Finish the training session, do a few things on my computer for work, and then head back to the house to have my brunch around 11 a.m. Have my brunch, and I kind of give 30 minutes, may chat with my wife for a little bit, see my boy, some playtime, kisses, and whatnot. And 30 minutes of that, take the dog on a walk around that time, and get into my workday around 11:30, 11:45. And my workday, I'll get to that in the end, but I know what I'm going to do based on my calendar. So whether I have calls, whether I have things to do on the computer, whether I'm recording a podcast, it's all set in stone pretty much what I'm going to do. Although I have some flexibility and things pop up, and I may change some things. Some things are not changeable, like having a podcast, recording a podcast, that is, unless there's a real emergency. So I'll work until around 3:30, 4 p.m. And then either I'm going to go get my daughter from school, or I take over with my son and start prepping dinner. If I usually around the day, like I'll pop in there and maybe salt some meats or whatever needs to be done for a dinner that is more complex in the making or it has more steps. But I'll come in there and perhaps chop some vegetables for a salad, or chop some vegetables for the beginning of dinner, and start having some fruit and more hydration, drink some coconut water and whatnot, play with them at the same time. Around 4:30, 5 o'clock, my daughter will come from school. We'll hang out, play, have dinner around 5:30. The whole family eat dinner. Shortly after, my son will go to have his nightcap, his milk cap, and my daughter and I will, either it's shower time, playtime, and all that, get ready for bed, some books around between 6 to 7 p.m. Getting ready for bed. We're going to play some games, read some books together, have some time. She may go to bed now a little bit later in the summer, 7:15, 7:30. And then in that ideal day, I will not do more work, but maybe like 30 minutes. So I'm going to call it 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I will do some mobility. So I'll just take some yoga tuna balls and whatnot and do some stretches and some smashing, let's say, of the muscles and relaxing into them and letting go of things in the body while I'm relaxing, not doing anything else, not looking at any phones or anything. I don't have any other screens in here. And then I get into a little bit of reading before bed and go to bed around 9 o'clock and rinse and repeat. So I forgot to mention one thing during that 7:38. Usually, if I come and do a couple things on the computer, and if it's not chunked before, I will chunk my day in my calendar for the day after. And I will also pick my clothes for the next day. So my clothes are ready to go when I wake up. I forgot to mention that in the morning, I will get dressed first before I get into the meditation. I'm gonna pee pretty much, rinse my mouth, and get dressed and get into meditation. And when I come to the workday, what I do between 7:30 to 8 p.m. is that I chunk my day if it's not chunked, or maybe add a couple things and look at my three most important things for the day in my to-do list and chunk them in there. And I'm talking about like seriously, like in like 11:30 to 12, I'm doing this task. 12 to 2, I'm recording a podcast. 2 to 2:30, I'm going to do guest reach outs. 2:30 to 3, I'm going to make some announcements and post to whatever social media or Telegram or whatnot. It's chunked in that way that I know what I'm going to do, and I always round up in the time. So in case some other things come in, phone calls and whatnot, I'm able to do it. And sometimes I will push that into the evening, into that 7:30, and then may push my mobility and such into later time, and I'll go to sleep at 9:30, sometimes at 10, depending really in the season. And I may push those things to the next day. So that's how I'm being flexible with things and moving things around, and also keeping tabs on the things that I want to get done without getting distracted.
You have a really good balance. I admire that in you between your work, your health. We can kind of bunch your spiritual, mental, physical health all into one, and then the time you spend with your family. I think you have struck a great balance. One question I do have for you: I know you read less books with more intention these days. You said you would read before bed. Is there anything you're reading right now that you can recommend?
I am my favorite book at the moment, which is actually I just finished it, so I'm gonna say this one, and I actually bought three copies, and I'm gonna spill the beans. I bought one for you. This is part of your belated birthday gift, but I'm just gonna say it. So it's called "Light Is a Living Spirit," and I heard about it from Thaddeus Owen, who was a guest on my show. I think he was episode 6 or 7, 6. Matt Kaufman was 5. Now that I'm thinking about it, and he told me about this book, and this book really touched my heart in a lot of ways and opened my eyes to how things work when it comes to light and some other things with electromagnetic and magnetism and the sun. And anyways, that's a very short book. I read it in like 3 nights. And I did forget to mention, because I haven't done it in a long time, but I was starting my work day with, sometimes I'll finish my workout and then instead of getting in the computer, I'll do 20 minutes of reading, and I put a timer. So put a timer for 20 minutes and I get into the thicker books. And another book that I really enjoyed in the beginning of the year was Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. That's about parenting, and that's when things shifted in my family system of having another child. And my older child, my daughter, was definitely reacting to the newcomer, the new person in town here. So that's when I really dove in, and I take a good amount of notes while I'm reading. So I'm highlighting, and then later on, I will come once I finish the book and write the notes into a Notion document that I can look up after, and also that helps me instill the information again into my mind and talk about it quite often.
I'm looking forward to that.
You're gonna love it.
Thank you in advance. I'm excited. Okay, so there's one more question to go over as we kind of draw to a close here. But what is the criteria you're using for selecting guests? I mean, you're building this theme around your show, which is actually really, really unique. How are you selecting your
It's
guests?
a good question. So the show, is about understanding consciousness, understanding what this experience here in the universe is really about, and how we can make the most of it, and as I say, become more whole and joyful. So look for guests that fit the bill for that thing, and whether that's going to be more focused, for example, on the last one, like on diet. The body is I borrow from Dr. Joe Dispenza, is the instrument of consciousness. The body is that instrument, right? So enhancing, optimizing the body for spiritual progress and enlightening experiences is something that I highly value. So I will look for somebody or run into someone that is doing something different in that field, and have a conversation with them. At the same time, I'll bring somebody who is more into the woo things side of things. So I'm looking at guests that are, one, interesting, and two, they have something to teach me personally that I think will be beneficial for anybody who is resonating with this path on, you can say, elevating their consciousness or expanding their consciousness to be able to hold more light, to become more whole in that way, clear their vessel, and find more joy in this 3D experience. So I think if one is, and I will say one of the things here, one of the titles to my episodes here is Ascend to the Fifth Dimension with Vashay Lasananda, is that sometimes people in the spiritual world, let's say, they're looking into ascending into the fifth density out of the third dimension. But it's not about escaping this. This is heaven on earth. It's about, yes, there's going to be, of course, some really uncomfortable things about this experience. But if we can find happiness here, most likely we're not going to be able to find happiness in the fifth dimension. We're going to be carrying what I think is karma, which is still a complex thing that I'm wrapping my head, mind, and everything around. Yeah, so it's about finding really a lot of joy and meaning in this life, and also accepting and being okay with the challenges. So yeah, that's how I've been doing that. And usually what I ask is, I ask the guests that I know, and I start with people that I know personally in the show, and I ask them to let me know if they can think of someone who would enjoy being on my show that would fit the criteria. And lo and behold, me, without even asking someone reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, great episode with this person, and would you like me to introduce you to A, B, and C?" And I was like, "Wow, amazing!" Like that's exactly. I mean, I was actually thinking about a couple of those guests, and this person made an offer knowing them personally. So it's been rolling like that organically.
Yeah, you also you have a unique ability to ask questions of people who have been on other shows. I mean, I've heard a lot from like Bledsoe and Thaddeus and even Philip recently, but you have this unique ability to extract a different story from people that have, been on quite a few podcasts and have podcasts themselves and all that. So I enjoy this, and I know that you're seeking teachers and you're learning along the way. But I think these Q&As are great because you are a teacher for, I mean, definitely for me, but for a lot of people, for your audience, obviously everyone in the MOI group. And I think it's a good exercise and valuable for the audience to put you on the interviewee end of the conversation every now and then and get an update. So I hope you decide to do more of these Q&As going forward.
Thank you. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you for co-hosting this one. I am looking forward to doing more of these. And yeah, it's been fun, as always.
Beautiful.
All right,
thanks,
you.
Doc. Appreciate you as well.
Appreciate you. And
talk soon.
To the audience, you'll hear from Matt on an interview when the timing is right, as he's working on a bunch of projects that will come to fruition in the next months, years. Time will tell. Yeah, he's I would say still a new father. So yeah, that is coming around. Anyways, ciao everybody. Thank you for listening. Much love. Well, lovely beings, I hope you enjoyed and were inspired by this conversation as much as I was. You can find the full show notes and all episodes on my website at yonihavana.com/podcast. If you are a man and you are called to do transformational work to become a better man, to find and grow the divinity within you, and you are longing a community of masculine men who share a passion for growth, please check out Men of Integrity by going to moi.community. Lastly, if you are enjoying the Yoni Havana podcast, I'd be so grateful if you take a moment to leave us a rating and a review on your podcast app of choice. The Yoni Havana Podcast is a brand new show, and your support would help reach new people by rating higher on the algorithms. Also, your feedback would help me deliver the best experience to you as the show keeps evolving. Much love and a big aho. See you on the next one.